Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for being a part of this conference, AI and the Future of Design, Artificial Intelligence and the Future of Design, hosted on the Just Design platform. Just Design is a community, it's a design community for learning, sharing, and connecting. And our mission is very simple, it's to democratize design, to make design accessible to all. We believe that design makes the world better. It has shaped human existence. It will shape human existence in the near future. So we want to make design accessible to all because of its power to change the world. We want to promote quality design. We want to strive to improve design. And the aim of this conference is to stimulate a conversation on how artificial intelligence will shape the future of the design industry. And so our motivation really is the fact that construction has been fairly over time rigid to adapting to technology. And this has not been very good to the output of construction industry generally. And so we believe that technology has capacity to multiply capabilities. And that's why we want to begin to have a conversation around the impact of AI on design and its future. Of course, as we know, AI is essentially um, a simulation of human intelligence. And so it's an accelerator of human intelligence. It's just multiplying human effort in the field of design. And so we want to begin to explore how that conversation can stimulate improvement, productivity in the field of design, particularly from this side of the world. And so we believe that designers, architects, engineers can begin to leverage on the power of AI to improve their productivity. AI has come to stay. Interestingly, we know how the design field has evolved over the decades. There were the times for manual drafting and moved to the CAD and the CAM, interface, and then after a while to the beam interface, and today we are going to the 4-dimensional interface, the 5-dimensional interface. And so there's a need for designers to quickly adapt to this technology and be able to improve the quality of work that we do. A simple analogy of an architect who was able to maximize technology, and that's the Rivard Frank Gehry. Particularly early in his career, he was able to take advantage of the software called CATIA, used even in the industry for aviation, in designing planes. And the moment Frank Gehry was able to take off that tool and utilize it, that tool was able to accelerate its capacity for his design works, which led to some of the great designs he did. And so that simply shows the power of technology. The Rivard Zaha did in a practice, they use a couple of parametric softwares that has also been able to leverage on technology and accelerate the work they do. And so we believe this conversation is critical to driving the future of design. And today we have an array of stellar speakers who have taken their time, who are experts in their field, and will be sharing with us from their world of experience and shaping the narrative on AI and the future of design. I want to say thank you for joining in. Thank you for being a part of this conversation, and I'm sure we'll have a wonderful, event today. Thank you very much.
Architect Okinwale Erokodore is passionate about the fusion of art, nature, and technology. He strives to push the boundaries of innovation by nurturing self-expression and creativity. As an architect with over 10 years of experience, leveraging technology to enhance creativity is a topic he is passionate about. Currently, he is working using AI, artificial intelligence, For world building and believes architects and creatives have a huge role to play in creating immersive digital worlds. He also regularly writes on topics around creativity, design, technology, and artificial intelligence. Architect Okinwale Erokodore is passionate about the fusion of art, nature.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I just want to confirm that you can all hear me, and there's supposed to be like a slide showing up here. Okay. So the slide is showing. That's really nice. Um, my name is Akinwale Arokodare. I'm an architect. I work with Mixta Africa. We are based in Nigeria, but we have various offices around Africa. We are a real estate company. We are passionate about innovation, about technology, and most especially architecture and design. We have a couple of architects in our office, and we've currently started integrating AI into our workflow, and we see that there's a lot of opportunity in terms of it has changed the way we work, and we hope that people here who are listening to us can also adopt this technology, because there is a lot of opportunity. Sometimes I go out and meet people. Some people are really not. They are scared. Some people show fear. There's fear on their faces as what the future holds. But there is a lot of opportunity if you can just integrate this new technology coming in. Architect Benga said something that was really interesting before he passed the mic to me. He said that before we used to use TD boards and paper, then different pens to draw. But next we transitioned to using computer-aided design. I believe right now we are at a point of transitioning. Architects, creatives, designers, artists, we're at the point of transitioning. So that's why we're having all these kind of talks, so that we can share minds, we can rub minds together, and we can learn from each other. So I'll just be running through it's a long presentation, but I'll try and go as fast as possible. I think at the end we will have time for questions and answers. So I'll talk about an introduction, which will highlight like where we are right now, this new age that we're currently in. Some people call it the age of intelligence, some people call it the age of imagination, some people call it the age of integration. There's a lot of names, there's a lot of speculations when I read a lot of text from scholars. People are just coming up with different words. Oh, the world is going from the information age to the distant age. There is a lot going on out there. So I would talk about all those things and to just explain to you where I think we are going towards, and what to expect. So I'll talk about the history, the future, and going forward. So this intelligence age, what does it mean? This AI age, what does it mean? What does it mean for us as architects, as designers? So what I like to do is, right now we are moving, the world is shifting, but I don't want us to just sit down and say, okay, let's move ahead, let's just move forward, let's just go ahead with the flow. I want us to imagine an archer that wants to hit a target. If you look at this picture, she wants to hit a target with her bow and arrow. But what she does is that she draws the bow backwards in order to get enough force to propel the arrow forward. So for us as architects and designers, and that we are at this point in time where the world is changing, and you really don't know how your career is going to go, how your career is going to change. You really don't know the kind of tools and softwares you're going to be using in the next even 3 months. I wouldn't even say 1 year, I'll say 3 months. You don't know how things are going, because things are changing fast. So let's take a step back. Let's look at history and see how the world has changed. So previously, we've gone through a series of changes. A lot of us here on this call were not alive when we were in the agricultural age. Talk less of the industrial age. I'm sure a lot of us right now on this call were born during the information age. And right now we are transitioning to another age. It's happening fast as a result of the rapid changes in technology. So if you look at this image, I have the agricultural age when we used to go farm and we would work on farmlands. Then from there, we transitioned into the industrial age where we started having factories and started creating things like textiles. And there was a lot of mass production. Then we moved into the information age when computers were manufactured, were created. We started, we could communicate with someone who was in another country. We could create designs using graphic user interfaces and the likes. And now we are transitioning into another age. If you notice that I put a question mark there because there's been a lot of speculation, there's been a lot of ideas, there's been a lot of analogies on where the world is going to right now. So I just have like a timeline here. In the industrial age, I want you to see what kind of things used to happen then. That was in the 1700s to 1900s. What used to happen then? We had mass production, technological advancement. Yes, we had technological advancement has been happening even before the agricultural age. We've been having technological advancement. The only difference is that right now it's coming at a very fast pace. I can just give you an example. ChatGPT, which was created by OpenAI, was released in November 2023. But from November 2023 till now, we've had upgrades to that software that has been monumental, but nobody's really talking about it. It's kind of like a blur because everything is changing so fast. So in the industrial age, now let's go back to the industrial age. We've been having technological advances, but it used to happen maybe every 5 years, every 2 years, every 1 year. We had textiles, fabrics, products like iron, steel, machinery, engines. That's when we had the locomotive train. That's when we started developing cars by Ford. Then we moved to the information age, which covered the 1900s to 2000s. Now, this is the information age that everybody on this call, I am certain that we were all born within this timeline. So we kind of have like an experience of what this is. So this is the digital age where we started using phones and started communicating with people around the world. There was mass communication and expression. Now we are going into a different age where some people call it intelligence, some people call it synthetic, some people call it integration, some people call it imagination age. There are different names for it. A lot of people are speculating and they're trying to find out where we're going into. And the products we're going to find in this age is one, clean energy. We're going to have clean energy. We're going to move from dependence on fossil energy to clean energy, solar energy, renewable energy. We're going to have advanced robotics. We're going to have artificial intelligence, because right now that's like the elephant in the room. We're going to have massive automation, virtual reality, the metaverse. So you can see the kind of things that we are going into. So I want you to just take it and glance through these things: wearables, neuro enhancement, personalized healthcare and education, biophilic architecture, immersive technology. Those are the kind of things that we are going to be experienced. Those are the kind of products that's going to happen in this age that we are going into. So this intelligence or synthetic or integration age or imagination age, what does it mean? So I took the liberty and asked AI. I asked OpenAI, I asked Gemini, and I asked Claude. Now, I'll read through each of them. The definition from OpenAI, ChatGPT, was that this age, therefore, is defined by a profound shift towards high technology. That's a definition by ChatGPT. By Gemini, it says it's a proposed era following the information age, characterized by the increasing interconnectedness and blurring of boundaries between different spheres during the technological advancements. That's Gemini. By Claude. Claude is also an AI. I would say everybody here should use Claude. I would say if you don't have access to the paid version of ChatGPT, you should start using Claude. Claude is free, and it's like having It's like using the paid version of ChatGPT for free. So this is Claude's definition. The integration age will be characterized by the seamless integration and convergence of various technologies, data, and systems that have been developed and advanced during the information age. So I want you to look at these three definitions, and what is the thing that pops up to you when you look at these three definitions? I've kind of given like a hint. I've painted it in red. So when you look at these three definitions, the things that pop out to you as an architect, as a designer, whichever profession you are, and you are preparing to tackle this new age that we're going into, what you should pick up is advanced technology. Advanced technology. And another thing that I also want to say is, if you look at the definition of Claude, it says convergence of various technologies. So there's going to be a convergence of various technologies. So that is what we are going into right now. Yes, I know everybody's talking about AI because that's like the in thing, that's like the elephant in the room. But it's the foundation. AI is the foundation of what we're entering into, the next era that we're going into. And that's fusion of technology, integration of technology into almost everything. If it's already, if you want to communicate with your, if you want your clients, can you? Okay, I just want to be sure I'm still connected. Okay, if you want to, if you want to do like a proposal, you pick up a computer. Already, we use technology, but now you're going to take it a step further by merging and integrating technology into almost everything that we do, not just as architects, but as even parents or as colleagues in the office, as friends. We're going to integrate technology. So if you look at this slide, I put in some major technological advancement that has happened in the past, and I put their dates on them. And I want you to take a look at some of these dates. You will notice that sometimes at the point in time, say for example, let's look at the television. It was invented in 1920s. At the point in time when that television came out, picture, imagine yourself in 1920s. I'm sure it must have been like, wow, this is amazing. This is amazing technology. This is advanced technology. But now, picture yourself now in 2024. Television just looks like a basic necessity that even when we are designing buildings, when we are designing the living room, we just, okay, this is where the television would be. It's become like an integral part of our lives. That's exactly the same thing that's going through right now with artificial intelligence. So that's why, if you look at where I put artificial intelligence, I put it 1950s, because this AI that we're talking about it's been developed since the 1950s. I read an article by a software engineer who created the first chatbot. It was named Eliza. And when he created Eliza, it's a chatbot where you can chat, just like the way we're using ChatGPT. And that was in 1960. That was the first chatbot that was created. He created it, and something happened. His secretary started chatting with Eliza and started getting very close to Eliza. Then he was worried about it. Then he terminated the software. That's 1960. So I want to show you that AI has always been in development right now. It's just that OpenAI was able to create a product that humans were able to really integrate into their workflow. So integration is very important when it comes to advanced technology. So another thing I want you to take a look at the dates is that if you look at these dates, they are really spaced apart. You will see televisions 1920s, then electricity was from the 1700s to 1900s, light bulbs 1800s. All the dates are spaced apart, but where we are right now, it's going to be blurred. We're going to be having new softwares coming out almost every if you follow the news, new stuff comes out almost every 1 month. There is something new. What you used to use, we used to use ChatGPT 3.5. Now nobody uses ChatGPT 3.5. The thing that was like the in thing, nobody uses it now. People are now using Claude, because Claude is giving you what the paid version of ChatGPT 4 gives you. So I want you to see how fast things are changing. So as an architect, as a designer, you need to be at the top of your game in terms of technology, in terms of what's in vogue. You need to what I tell people is that you need to have like a learning mentality. You need to have a learning mentality. You don't just rest on your laurels that, okay, I know how to use Revit. Then you sit down in your chair and you're like, I'm the boss. Oh, I have PMP. That's all. I don't need to do anything again. I have an MSc. I'm okay with that. No. Now, in this dispensation we are in, you need to have a learning mentality. You need to be always upgrading yourself, always learning. So another level I would advise you is this: you should also share what you learn. That's a way to help the people who are also coming behind you. That's another topic entirely, but it's also the reason why we are here having this talk, me sharing what I have learned with everybody, and the other speakers share what they've learned with every one of us. So what does the future hold for real estate architecture and design? How can we as architects take advantage of the new coming era, an era that is proposed to come after the information age? So one, we're going to start seeing things like smart homes and infrastructure. Now, remember what I said about the major things in this era that we're entering into, which is the integration of technology. As we as architects integrate technology into our workflow, we should also consider integrating technology into the products that we create, into the designs that we create. So now we're talking about smart homes, smart infrastructure. Now I have like a band I wear on my hand that takes my health vitals, measures my heartbeat. As architect, we start thinking, okay, can we have a residential home that kind of monitors the vitals of the people who are inside the house? Can we incorporate efficient energy into the houses that we design? So that's where we're going: smart home, smart infrastructure. Next, we should talk about virtual and augmented reality. So see, this is one advantage I have noticed architects have. When we were in school, we used to work with things like, okay, I can speak for myself. I used to work with things like 3D Max and Maya those days. So those things helped me develop my spatial analysis. Spatial analysis, that's SPATIATIL. So spatial analysis. So I noticed that I could visualize things better than people who did not study architecture or who were not used to using 3D. So we as architects have an advantage in creating virtual digital worlds. If you read the definition of what Claude said that there's going to be this era that we're going into, there'll be a blend with the physical and the digital worlds. So as an architect who has been working with digital, you've been creating 3Ds, you've been manipulating 3D environments, 3D textures, you already have an advantage in things like augmented reality, virtual world. So take this going forward, try and develop this skill, try and see how you can integrate this skill into your designs. And there's a lot of opportunity ahead. We could consider things like blockchain transactions, consider things like data analytics and artificial intelligence. If you know one thing about artificial intelligence, I always tell people is one, data, two, imagination. If you have a high level of imagination, you'll be able to manipulate artificial intelligence in a way that is able to touch people's lives in a certain way. Like, if you notice, since when AI came out, you've been seeing a lot of images, a lot of images, a lot of images. You just open the internet boom, thousands of images generated by AI. But you will notice one thing. Let me tell you something I've noticed. There are some images that just catch your attention. Maybe someone did something. It will just catch your attention. It will just, so what that has done is that that emotional there's an emotional connection in that image and the viewer. So if you have a high level of imagination, if you're imaginative, if you've nurtured your imagination, you can use AI to create images in a certain way that will be different from any regular person just generating images. I don't know. I don't think you, I hope you understand what I'm saying here. Yeah, anybody right now can generate any image, but as an architect, you understand things like color, you understand things like ambience, you understand things like the emotional connection with images, you understand scale, you understand perspective. So the way you would prompt to create an image would be different from the way a regular person who doesn't have the architectural experience would prompt. So consider that while going forward in your um hold on. Okay, my video is on. Okay, so the next thing is data analytics. I think that's one thing I've noticed that AI has. You can upload right now on Claude. If you're using Claude, you can upload a document with about 100 pages of Word document, and AI will go through that thing in 5 seconds and it can give you a summary. It's mind blowing. So, yes, I know we are architects, we deal with drawing, 3D, image generation, but there's also AI also has another skill, which is data analytics. So, if you can take advantage of this, you can use it with creating briefs, going through documents. If people send you contract documents, you can upload it on Claude to review for it, review all the clauses. So these are kind of things that we will use it in our office, and going forward, you can also use it. Um, you can integrate health and wellness in our designs. Now, one thing I've noticed is, like I said, I work in a real estate company, and we've noticed that a lot of people are stressed. There's a lot of stress going on because of the things changing, the economy. So the people are stressed. There's a lot of stress on mental health. Recently, World Health Organization just said that loneliness is now a pandemic. Loneliness, so not that we finished COVID. Now, loneliness is a pandemic. So when, as architects, in the buildings that we create, we should start integrating things like health and wellness, things that boost the spirits. For example, I was recently reading an article that says some certain colors, if used in your house, helps the person feel better. Creating large windows that connect the internal space with the external space raises mood. Putting green elements in your building raises mood. So those are kind of things you start thinking about. That okay, now where the world is going into. Another thing is automation and property management. I'll just skip through that. And vertical communities, co-living and co-working. Yes, I know AI is changing a lot, but we should start considering a situation whereby this is being done in China right now. If you look at the buildings in China, they are going up. Now, before you would have a building here, then maybe you walk down 2 blocks, you have a park. Walk down 2 blocks, you have a hospital. But now what they are doing now is vertical cities. I'm touching on this because of my real estate experience. So this is something that we are considering, and I think all architects here should also go into this direction because now we are integrating technology. Now you can all those things that take up space in the land, you can bring them together and go up. So in China now they have a building where you don't need to leave that building. You can stay in that building for close to 10 years and you don't need to because everything is there unless you are traveling out of China. You need, that means you need to go to the airport or you're going on vacation. Those are the only two things that would make you leave the building. But now that we're even entering an era whereby tourism is going to be taking on artificial intelligence, right? I'm sure people will be staying in their homes, they'll just wear some goggles and they're in another country. So you should think about vertical integration of communities and co-living going forward. So another thing is biophilic designs. I think I touched on this already. What are biophilic designs? Those are designs, building designs that integrate natural elements into their spaces. So if you look at this building, see how there are green gardens, there are terraces with green. So you should start thinking about that. Then high-tech materials. Recently, Google just said that when they launched their own Gemini, it discovered about 1,000 new materials and elements that were not previously discovered. So already we are entering an era whereby, like I said before, there will be new discoveries, and these new discoveries will be almost every month. Now it has moved to every month. Before you are going into an era that will be every week. There will be something new every week. So we should expect that there are going to be new materials. In maybe now we are used to concrete, steel, reinforcements, glass, plastics. Those are the materials that we usually use in creating our buildings. But I foresee a future whereby maybe in the next 1 year or 2 years, we're going to have new building materials. So as architects, you should always um, be keep yourself updated of all those kind of new materials so that it can help you create buildings that would be sustainable. Neuroarchitecture is exploring the emerging field of designing environments based on how they affect the human brain and emotions. So we should not just think of ourselves as, okay, we are just doing wall, floor, and roof. No, you, as architects and designers, what you do is way deeper than that. Like right now, I'm sitting in my house, I'm sitting at my dining table. I always say the dining table is one of the most important places in a home. You should design it in such a way whereby it's comfortable. There's always a view of green. It helps affect the brain, because a lot of people spend a lot of time in our homes. So that's what neuro architecture is. You should think about how what you design affects the the brains and emotions of people. So with artificial intelligence, you can go deeper in that. You can research deeper in that, and not just churn out buildings, but for the sake of just designing buildings. So next thing, community-centric design. These are just um, um, things that we can just go through. So let's just touch on the elephant in the room, artificial intelligence. What I just wanted to talk about is that I did not put it in this slide, but there is a post by Sam Altman. Sam Altman is the CEO of OpenAI. Now, OpenAI was launched November 2023. Then in January, he created a blog post. I would have shared it in this slide, but I didn't put it in this slide. But I'll tell you what he said. He said that when they were about to launch ChatGPT, they had predictions of how it would disrupt various industries. Now, they said the first industry it would disrupt would be manufacturing. They said the second industry that AI will disrupt will be service industry. Then they said the last and third industry that AI would disrupt will be the creative industry. But they were surprised that what happened when they launched ChatGPT is that it flipped their predictions. So it disrupted the creative industry first. That's exactly why we are all here talking about this. That's exactly why right now, aside from architecture, the music industry, the journalist industry, um, the entertainment industry, design artists, it has disrupted the creative industry first. So what I want to say is that there's like a wave. So right now we're in the first wave. We're in the first wave. The next wave will be the service. Maybe if I'm going by Sam Altman's post, then after that it's now be manufacturing, when we'll now start having robots that can do the mundane things that we can do. So those are that's where we are going to, and I also want us to put that in mind. And another thing I also want to say is how this is an opportunity for everybody to be at the top of their game. Embrace this technology. There's a lot of uncertainty. Yes, I meet people. There's a lot of uncertainty. Will it take our jobs? Will it make us redundant? But let me tell you something. This is my phone, right? I have ChatGPT on my phone, but if I put my phone down and I just look at my phone, nothing is going to be generated. No image is going to be generated. Nothing is going to be, no design process is going to start. So AI needs human intelligence. So it's not going to take over your job. It's not going to make you redundant. Instead, it's an opportunity. It has unlocked another level of human creativity. So that's just what I want to say. Then, so I just want to show you a few things that you can use it to do. So, for example, this is a sketch that I did. I generated this with Leonardo AI. Yeah. So personally, my workflow, the things I use for word generation. Like if I want to generate word, like an essay or an article, or I want to go through a particular contract document, I use Claude, Claude. So it's called Claude AI. It's free and it's the best right now. Although some people say Meta AI is better, but Claude is better because you can upload documents. I use Claude. Then for image generation, I use Leonardo.ai. So see something like this, you can see how this building, I generated this in 5 minutes. Or before AI, it would probably take me like 2 weeks to do the modeling, to do the rendering and everything. See the living room, the kitchen, the swimming pool, the bedroom. So you see how AI generates. So if I'm working with a client and I'm working on concept design, see how fast I have done just this. This took me 10 minutes. See this building, this is another building. This is the exterior building, the living room, the kitchen, the stair hall, the bedroom. Very fast. Now this is for a children book. This is the exterior of the building, the living room, the bedroom, the stair hall, the kitchen. So you see how fast, and all this takes 10 minutes. 10 minutes. So don't be scared that you would not have a job, but it's the people who use the technology that would push the people who don't use it out. Imagine 15 years ago, you are listening to this program and a friend of yours started using computer aided design, started using AutoCAD. Meanwhile, you kept on using your TD board. Over time, you will just notice that it's the person who is using computer aided design that would be sought out after, because it's more efficient, it's more productive, it's more creative. So that's the area that we are in right now, and I would employ us all to embrace this technology. So that's the future of design in respective to artificial intelligence and technology. Um, if you have any questions, we can talk about that.
Professor Benedict D. Ilozov holds a PhD, Master of Science, and Bachelors of Science, honors, in architecture, along with several professional accreditations including MNI, FMA from 98, Lead Accredited Professional, AI Association, architectural qualifications accredited by the National Architectural Accrediting Board, NAB, for the National Council of Architectural Registration Boards, NCAB, Education Standard and American Institute of Architects, 01-566 ES NCAB Evaluation, the Architects Accreditation Council of Australia, ACA, and Architects Registration Council of Nigeria, ACON. He is a tenured full professor at the School of Visual and Built Environments, Eastern Michigan University, contributing expertise in architecture, construction management, renewable energy, and sustainability for virtually 2 decades. Dr. Ilozov has over 3 decades of experience in sustainable architecture, construction project management, energy systems, and facility planning and management. He is the inventor of Bender's Power System, BPS, for generating renewable electricity, and Space DC for diagnosing and rating space design and building efficiency. With over 300 publications, books, refereed journal papers, articles, monographs, etc., he has received various honors and awards of excellence and best paper prizes on innovation and sustainability in the US, Australia, and the UK, including the Facility Management Association (FMA) of Australia Excellence Awards in 1998, 1999 and 2000. Dr. Iloza was editor, Asia Pacific, for Journal of Management Development, and he is on the editorial board of many high-impact international journals such as the Journal of Performance of Constructed Facilities, Journal of Construction, the Journal of Engineering, Design and Technology, and the International Journal of Construction Project Management.
Thank you very much. May I start? Okay. Or perhaps you might be hearing me. Thank you for the introduction. Benedict Iloza, as you see, is my name. I'm based in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Originally from Nigeria. I'm from Agulu. I'm not too far away from you. I am the 967th Akon registered architect. And as at 1991, 1001 member of the Nigerian Institute of Architects. Thank you again. So my guess is that I've not used StreamYard, but I hope you are hearing what I'm saying. And so if not, I could see from the chat that everyone is listening. Thank you for giving me this audience. And it's a very important topic that you are running ahead of time in terms of the AIA revolution in the future of design. It's not something to be frightened about, but rather be a partner to it. Then you have no issues. Look at what Airbnb did to hotel. The hotel is surviving because it has a limitless volume of opportunities. So the opportunities is not kind of exhausted. Airbnb took about close to $500 million of the annual income generation from hotels. The taxi industries did not fare well. When you look at that with say Uber, Lyft, and the likes. So the same thing is coming to your doorsteps. You need not be frightened, but I could frighten you that your job is soon up in smokes. It depends on what you do. If you do the right thing by really being open to it, running ahead of it, and being a part of the process, then you have nothing to fear. So I have looked at, I've listened to Dr. Obioha Uwankonye, then Dr. Abiodun Shonibare and Hassan Anifoweshe, moderated by architect David Idibe. So there are a lot of things they've kind of presented there that I don't need to replicate that. Of most importance is actually a mention of SpaceMaker. So I might tell you a little bit about that. Dr. Obioha mentioned about SpaceMaker. SpaceMaker actually is an offshoot from SpaceDeck. And you could see that Autodesk has just quickly changed that name to Former just recently, not up to about 6 months, not up to a year ago. So SpaceDeck is like a back tool, an AI back tool that could be leveraged upon to improve the design process, helping design thinking. And I remember about, I'm not sure whether it's, maybe it could be up to 6 months ago, I made a presentation on SpaceDeck I demonstrated, I did demonstrations with that for Dr. Owoseni, Abraham Owoseni, and architect Onyedika Chukwu Ndimako, sorry, please, if I've forgotten the names that way. So I've done that demonstration. So I will just run straight to, show you through that space deck. Looking at what others have presented, I felt there's no point replicating that. But you will see that there are now a couple dozens of AI architects all over the place, promising people they can design for them. You just put in a few information, they generate stuff. The things they are generating, the very backbone that you have as architects is that creativity. The AIs, yes, they try to replicate your creativity, but it's a mesh of a couple of ideas. They put a few ideas together, and they can generate millions of alternatives. They are originating from the core. It's coming from the human being. It's coming from designers, and this is where you have the leverage. I will talk about that perhaps more in the panel session. So what AI, Space Deck does is, am I able to, please move the slide. You can now move the slide to the next one. It seems, yes, okay. So what Space Deck is, just to demonstrate to you the skeletal genesis of Space Deck. Essentially, a Space Deck does not design for you, but it looks at the space that you have designed, then analyze that space. And with algorithms, it generates graphics, the blue and red graphics there, generated by Space Deck, and it does some computations that scores how efficiently you could have allocated your spaces. Why do we design? We design because we want to enclose spaces that are comfortable for human habitation. We want to create not just spaces, we want to create functional spaces. Nobody wants to create dysfunctional spaces. It's mostly functional spaces. So SpaceDex looks at your ability to create that functional spaces that have been so laid out that there are no wastages of spaces, or even the wall spaces, the partitions, and all the rest of them. So what that is demonstrating in this screen is SpaceDeck. This is an initial plan. It's both a perspective and it has acute angles. SpaceDeck analyzed that at first and scored it 70.74% and highlighted the red areas and highlighted the blue areas. The red areas are areas, actually you jumped a slide. Can you go back one slide? Go back one slide. Oh, okay, go back again. There's something missing there. Okay, so we'll continue. So, but essentially, so the very first score it did was 70%. Then what that helps you to do is to, get you to ask yourself a question. Should I live with this 70.74%? And you need to know what that means. This is space area efficiency rating. That is SAER. What that means is that the space, that layout that you're seeing here, has potential 30% redundant space. That is space you can do without. You can actually remove a good number of them, and you still have your space as functional as you wish it. So if it scores that 70%, what it means is that the functional spaces you have to use is around about 70%, whereas you are living with embodied 30% redundant space. So let's go to the next slide. So with the next, okay, then that's Joyce, I think he mixed it up. This should have been the very first one. So the very first one, so the third one, there's some sequence that is missing there, but the person who designed this space made some adjustments. Based on those slight adjustments, maybe adjustment of spaces like where the columns are very close to the wall, when the columns are very close to the wall like that, you will see that you might not be able to use that. Space Deck highlights that and discounts that as a space that is very difficult to use, so it's not functional space. So if the space between the wall and the columns are a little bit bigger, it turns into blue. Blue means that these are functional, usable spaces. So with some of the rejigging of the plan, the score changed from 70% to 79, roughly 80%, from 79% to 82%. So that's essentially why this is an aid to design thinking, is that it kind of helps you to, before you just conceptualize your design. Sometimes you do great, sometimes you don't do great. But this is a tool that helps you to look back at what you're doing and ask questions. It kind of raises your curiosity as to what you're doing in terms of efficiency. And why that is very different is that it really empowers both the architect and the client, because the client can throw in the drawing that you gave them to Space Deck and get those analysis. Maybe you give it to the client and the client gets it and it scores like 70%, and they feel 70% is not good enough for us. We need up to 80%. So, but you as a designer, you should have tested it yourself to be sure that it's up to 80% that the client might be looking to get. So, because if you give something less, is actually making increasing the potential for that to be thrown into the trash. Especially when you are doing competitive design submissions to your clients. So you can go to the next slide. Okay, so essentially it's trying to tell you where Space Deck resides. And what I'm suggesting, based on what how I spoke with Dr. Owoseni and Dr. Ndimarko, you can integrate Space Deck analysis into the very early design process. So students will actually know how they are doing, their teachers will know how they are doing, that's scoring of the spaces and how they arrange those spaces. So go to the next slide. So this is an example. This apartment was being built in Costa Rica by the director of Michigan Small Business Development Corporation. So luckily for them, they were just about to break the foundation when they decided to enlist the use of Space Deck to analyze the spaces. So that was the AutoCAD drawing. So look at that closely. If you look at that closely, you see that, let's say, look at the apartment that is in the floor plan that is to the left. Could you see the staircase is to the right there? There's a staircase to the right of it. And how the spaces, look at the bedroom, the two bedrooms are at the top. And there's a closet. It's like a linen closet that is eating into that, the two bedroom spaces, making them non-regular spaces. And you could see a walkway to go around. If you are entering from the left, there's a terrace from where you enter, and you go all the way through an L hallway to get to the staircase. So go to the next slide. So okay, so this is the original of that translated into Revit and analyzed with Space Deck. Space Deck, you see where it gave the big red color and is circulation space, and the blue color are functional spaces. The green color are mostly open spaces like veranda. Those things are encouraged. Have more outdoor living spaces like balconies, terraces. They are good to go with Revit. So Revit generated these numbers and gave a score to it. The score not that good. I think it's given like, I cannot quite see that here, but it wasn't a good score given these big red highlights. So go to the next slide and see the adjustments. So based on Space Deck, making you to ask question, do we live with all that red hallway place? All you needed to do is to change the staircase from the right to closer to the entry. It almost halved that red patch, and the score improved. You could see that? So then go to the next slide. So like I said, so if you look at what is highlighted under, it says space deck diagnostic analysis of the second for that layout. Some rejigging still was done, and the space deck again score increased. And that's actually what they eventually built. Look in the 2 bedrooms. You could see that closet that was eating into the bedrooms is disappeared. Rather, the bedrooms now have small walk-in wardrobes, plus a linen closet right opposite to where the red highlight is. So it created more rooms to use the spaces that you have for functional purposes rather than pure circulation or non-functional spaces. So that's what Space Deck does. So go to the next slide. This was a design someone wanted to build in Nigeria, and you can see this plan. Look towards the top of there to see this big hallway to go to the staircase. There's the curved staircase, and there's a regular staircase, U-shaped staircase to the upper left. And you see the long corridor to go to it. You can imagine when there's no light, you probably will need some candle to be able to see in the middle of that. So with the sense of Space Deck, something else, it was modified. So go to the next slide. And you can see this modification now, you don't see there's 0 hallway. That long hallway you see that could be equivalent to a room and a half is not there again. So a part of it cut out and the whole thing reconfigured, and there's 0 hallway throughout the whole structure. So go to the next slide. So just the different levels of it. So the same thing, there are no hallways. Go to the topmost floor. No hallway still, it's just a mansion. So, and you can go a little bit more down to see what the outcome was. So that's the building itself. Oh, keep going down, down, down. Oh, yeah. So that's just the elevation of that. So go down more to when. So that's the kind of the rendering of the finished product, and you can see that going through construction. So you can go to those 1, 2, 3, and to the end. Okay. Well, so you can halt it here. Then I just put in a few words here. So essentially, the AI revolution is real. If you are not quick in embracing that revolution, you are going to be left out. It's just like someone mentioned Imhotep, or so you could be left with Imhotep. So at the speed which things are moving, Akuche, we'll be having you next. Okay, that's all right. So at the speed which things are moving, we need to buckle our belts and get on board. The AI architect is not going to take over entirely, but you really need to be cautious. I could give you an example. Say, it's not just Nigeria, any other place. If people know that I can just put together a program and submit it to an AI architect, and they generate something for me, a lot of people will begin to try that. And that could disconnect the architects from their regular jobs. See what is happening with AI and the Hollywood industry, writers and creators. AI is virtually almost taking over, and they went on strike for that for over a year. It just got settled just about a couple of months ago. So the same thing will happen in the creative industry. The AI thing is purely machine learning. It learns from human beings, takes a few bits of information here and there from human beings, put that together and generates, is replicates millions of options and alternatives. So where we will be relevant is that human mind of altering things. Example like this is space deck we talked about. AI can put spaces together based on what it had learned previously. But you can come in to say that in actual fact, is not able to really address things or put functions exactly where you want them and how you want them. And this is where you need to find a niche where you will continue to be relevant. If that is not done, things are going to happen that everybody will be sorry about. The 3D printing, in fact, the new material we are working on, if that eventually takes hold, it will change the way we build. Most buildings will go back to being manufactured in controlled conditions, and you just come to site and kind of couple that together. Anytime you want to uncouple, you can uncouple quickly and move on to another place. So you can move your house in Nigeria to New York anytime, that kind of a thing. So we need to be up and running to embrace the new developments, and otherwise we'll be left behind. I think that's where I'll halt it and wait for questions that might come up at the panel section. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. And what I have shared with Dr. Oweseni and Ndimakor, I think they can share that. I would have made some demonstration here, but yes, it's open to everyone. There's nothing hidden. So, but it's good for you to be thinking about this and to begin to embrace the momentum of the AI technology. Thanks again for the time. I look forward to the panel discussion questions. Thank you.
Okoli Ochechukwu is an architect based in Lagos, Nigeria. He is also a 3D artist, 3D animator, and programmer. With his knowledge in programming and being one of the top architectural visualization artists in the country, Okoli Ochechukwu has developed programs and real-time interactive software that create an unconventional method of space exploration. He is the principal partner at Click Designs, a firm with an exceptional eye for details and realism. The firm provides top-notch 3D renders, 3D animation, and interactive applications for real estate agencies, construction firms, architects, and developers. Okoli Ochechukwu is now fulfilling his teenage dream of creating his own game. The game is called Inchi and will be created with Unreal Engine.
Hello. Good afternoon. Okay, I guess the session is meant to be interactive, in which in case you have questions about how AI can be used in ArcViz mainly, because what I do mostly is I'm not really much into design. Normally, I get the designs from archi firms and create 3D images and animation. So for me, I've not really delved into AI because I don't focus more in the design. The design phase has been sorted out by the firm themselves, in which they now give me the 3D model itself. So AI can be useful mainly in terms of your final presentation, like in the images, the way the images come out, and in case you want to make changes to the images. But the main thing about ArcViz is that in architecture, every camera angle, every certain things have to be exactly the way it is done in the floor plan. So in a way you can't just give that power to AI. You have to, in a way, have to control the output of the results. And any questions? Okay, I'll keep on going then. Mainly what so far in animations also the AI version, they haven't been able to create a version in which is a bit detailed. It's somehow when you use the AI to do animation, there's a kind of flicker in between, so you can't really settle on your own version. And it is only if you want to do like a stop motion version in the animation. So that's as in terms of the final presentation, in terms of when you've done the design, you now want to submit and submit your work for drawings and create the actual image on how the building will look like. I feel the AI softwares at the moment still have a some stages to go in order to make people to stop using your normal Revit, SketchUp, and 3D Max render. What else can I add? Okay, in terms in animation, sometimes you will need to do some voiceovers, and the AI version of for voiceovers that has really improved. Normally, for my voiceovers, I have to pay someone to go to a record studio and actually say out the notes and send the audio file to me. But I've been playing with some AI versions so recently, and their voices have really been good, as in they've really gotten better in that aspect. So, and also AI for images. Normally when you render and you kind of use if you use 3D humans in SketchUp or 3D Max, it's not really as realistic as you would want it to be. But there's an AI software that allows you to this thing. There's an AI software that allows you to take the image that allows you to take the image and then kind of do a shade over it and then make the image as realistic as possible. So that's how it is also helps, as in you take the image and you take your whole picture and all. Sometimes when you kind of render, the images come up, the people don't really come out as realistic as possible. So there's an AI software, but that also can also be done in Photoshop and some photo editing software. So in terms of standing out, in which providing options in which other softwares don't do already, that's where, but the AI is a bit faster in a way. So mostly I will still use my VV and 3ds Max to render out my images. I've seen the images that can be created with AI. It's nice, but that's usually at the design and prelim stages. When they now get to the stage in which they want to market a project in terms of and now want to build, they will prefer to have things that are exact, and that is where you kind of still need humans. And with AI, you can when things are done, you can also create images that are as close to the drawings. If you take out the sketch and put in the AI, it can give you how to finish different ways it can be finished. But at the stage in which design is next, as in the about to start building, certain things have been finalized. So it is not at the stage in which you still want to start making changes and making all those changes in which you could keep like the way mid journey allows you to make so many, as in you send this, as in like most AIs, you just type what you want and it's saying, it shows you pictures of how the building should look like. Yeah. Um to me, I just feel it still has it still has to get to some stages for 3D Max, your SketchUp, and your Revit to become irrelevant, but it is getting there. So I would advise people to understand the way the software works, and I would actually recommend the AI softwares for those architects that are not really good in design, in their facade design. So it helps. You do your building, you now get your basic form, and the AI can guide you to the way the the facade should look like, and all. Okay. Are there any questions? Does I want to check. Any questions? I'm up. Okay, I haven't seen any questions so far. Okay, okay. So I guess I can then move on to the panel then. Thank you.
Fine. Hello. Thank you very much, Architect Okolie. It's good to have you on the conference. Quickly, we'll be going to the panel session, and then we'll be having Architect Yakubu Paul from UK. And so we'll just run a quick bio of Architect Paul Yakubu.
Architect Paul Yakubu is a designer and writer who delves into the intersections of art, stories, products, scenery, and space in architecture. Holding an MSc in Architecture from Covenant University and an M.Arch in Architecture and Urbanism from the Architectural Association, London, his research interests span the social boundaries of space, semiotics, culture, housing, and the narratives shaping a city's morphology. His research findings have been published in various publications, including Arch Daily, Bloomberg, and The Guardian. This has earned him the 2023 Riba J Future Writer Architect Award in the UK. He is currently developing an artistic scheme that studies informal markets and repurposes environmental waste into furniture, products, and architectural elements. His innovative approach led to him being named the 2023 Laureate of Passage Residency in France, where he designed and built umbrella store prototypes reflecting the transitory nature of informal markets in Nigeria. Architect Paul.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you very much. Architect Paul, it's good to have you. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Good. It's good to be here. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Architect Wale, thank you. I listened to your session. Was very insightful. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much, Dr. Benga.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to have you. and then the Chief Okolie, Architect Okolie.
Sir.
Thank, thank you for your wonderful, uh, talk. Was very enlightening. I know from your perspective, you're able to give us the different dimensions to how AI can be, introduced and infused into visualization. So thank you so much. And Professor Ben Ilozo, I think Prof is around too.
Yes.
I'm sure it will
So
join in
my
shortly.
video, yeah, my video seems to be blocked there. So I've already.
Okay,
Oh no,
okay,
it's not there. Okay, it's here. Sorry. I think that should be
okay.
okay.
All
Okay.
right, Prof. Thank
Well,
you very
yeah.
much.
Good to see you
Good to
all.
meet you finally. Was
Good.
just by mails we've been corresponding.
Okay. It's you almost
Thank
like you were familiar, or oh no, you were not there when I spoke with or was Abraham
Okay,
and
okay, no, no.
Onyedika Chukwu.
Okay, okay, I
Yeah.
wasn't there.
Good.
I wasn't there.
Okay.
Thank
Good.
you, Prof. And I want to say to our speakers who are now panelists, I want to say thank you very much. You did fantastic job to your presentation. Really appreciate the time you took and all of the great insights shared. I'm sure our community will be better in their work. And so quickly for the panel session, we'll be having a couple of questions that I will direct to all of us, but I may just pick someone to to speak to it. So quickly, I'll just start by saying that uh, design. I mean, the AI software, of course, and the design generally is both cultural, historical, contextual, and AI may just be a generic tool. So I want to find out from us, how does AI respond to those socio-cultural, historical influences to a design, and noting that for for the AI board, there are just many data fed into it. So I'd like us to shed light on the uh, interconnection of socio-cultural influences on design and AI. So I think maybe let me start with uh, Paul. Paul is just coming on. So let me just start with Paul.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know if you can hear me clearly. It's
Yes.
great to be here, and it's great to be with you, Architect Day again. It's been quite some time.
Yeah.
Okay. In terms of social cultural and in terms of culture, how AI kind of like responds to us, my feeling is that like currently AI is I see it as a communication tool, and I see it as a reflection of the data that is being put into it, in the sense that like the people who are kind of producing these different softwares, OpenAI, Midjourney, DALI-E, they are starting with their own context and they are feeding it information based on the research of their own context. So it's there for us, and most of the speakers have said it's kind of like a large opportunity for us to bring what we have, especially in Africa and West Africa, to it, and then see how it responds to us. We cannot see it as a kind of like a final tool that is meant to give us something. No, we have to see it as an interactive tool for us to um, kind of how like it now, the problems we have, the styles, the culture we have, how do we look at it on a global scale? So I think I was in a conference last year, and then people were talking about the fact that some of the responses for Mid Journey are looking more like Zaha Hadid buildings. Now, why was this happening? Even if you type like, "Oh, give me a stylistic building somewhere," it gives you all those curves from a Zaha Hadid building. And someone responded that because the system has been fed with so much images of Zaha Hadid buildings and Zaha Hadid style of architecture. So when it's time to respond to something of a curvature nature, that's what it's thinking about. So the system is there for us to feed more of our African context, or what our architecture is was like historically, what architecture can be like currently based on the rationale of what we have, maybe the fact that we are kind of like we don't have the most materials in the most industry in the world. We don't have the most kind of like economic buoyant place to develop architecture. All these different constraints, what can our architecture create? So I see it as a tool. It's a very open tool. It's there, whether it is through images, through video, through writing. It's a tool to bring our context to it. It's a tool to bring our information about our environment to it, and then kind of like relate to machine. I think it was Bill Mitchell in like 1979 who said that like, yeah, artificial intelligence next is to come is just a communication between man and machine. So like, uh, how we communicate with it kind of like determines the best results we can get.
All right, thank you very much. I think that's a fantastic response from Architect Paul. And I think the case you even cited, I think I can relate with it. You will see a lot of curves on those outputs, which is which is reflective of the input into it. And so there's a case for us to impute what would want the AI to begin to reflect in the next couple of
Yes.
weeks, months, and thereabout. So I think let me now go to Prof. Prof. Ilozo, do you have a
Okay, thanks. So the way I look at AI, of course, is what you put into it is what you get out of it. Just like Yakubu mentioned, he could have picked probably a lot of curvatures from Zaha Hadid or Frank Gehry. And when you ask it to produce something that is curvilinear, you see all sorts of curves. So essentially, is meshing up, mixing and matching stuff. But what we will be begin to raising is how can we have control? Let not the control come off of our hands completely. How can we make use of these tools and get it to do? Oh, actually, Alalade, you just mentioned that, let us be the one telling it exactly what to do rather than what it had picked up here and there. So AI is a history in itself, is a culture in itself. It's let's call it a new culture we have to embrace. But that culture, we need to be a part of molding that culture for what it becomes. Otherwise, the culture dictates to us rather than we dictating to the culture. And that's how I look at our way to respond to AI and embrace it. Thank you.
I think I'm sure that question has been dealt with, except if we have other panel members who have comments to that. Akita Wale, do you have any inputs to that?
Yeah. Okay. Yes, I also want to say what Paul said about when Mid Journey started creating images, everything started to look like Zaha Hadid's designs. Yeah, I also noticed that, and I remember when I first noticed it, I was happy. I was like, because I embrace Zaha Hadid a lot. I was happy. I was like, oh wow, this is nice, this is nice, this is nice. Then over time, it started to get very when something is just too much, it started to become like, isn't there any other thing out there? So what I realized is that yes, now is the time for every architect to dive into their own uniqueness. If Zaha Hadid had not taken the sacrifice of creating those ideas, of pouring out her thought process, of pouring out her ideas with the world, what do you think AI will be giving us right now? It will probably be giving us maybe boxes, squares, brutalist architecture, maybe some of these basic modern buildings. Yeah, there wouldn't be any information of Zaha Hadid. So this is the time for you to show your own uniqueness as an architect, as a designer. If you want to test colors, test it in your next designs. If you want to test shapes, test it in your next designs. Be daring with your creativity. Because it's when you do that, that's what AI will now train on. Let me tell you something about this AI. Let me tell you something about it's a trick I've noticed. It needs new information. That's the source that it feeds on. New information, new designs, new forms of thinking, new forms of writing, new forms of communication. So don't we're all architects here, we're all designers who want to start learning, who want to start using all this technology. Don't be someone who just repeats things. No, you wouldn't, you would just be in the crowd. Take a step back, look at yourself. What am I, what are my uniqueness? What are the colors that resonate with me when I want to create a building? So delve into that. And when you put your stuff out there, if it's an article, if it's a song, if it's an entertainment piece, if it's a structural design that you did, it will stand out because of your own authenticity. So I think that's just what I would add to that.
All right, thank you very much, Wale. I think if it's possible, let's get the perspective of Okolie on this matter before we move to the next question.
Okay. I just wanted to say in from the onset, drawings were kind of done mainly on paper with a pencil. As in, it's actually it's the like in school we kind of had to do drawings with tracing paper from first to fourth year. So in a way, there's a pencil, there's an ink pen. It actually depends on what the input you put. That's what the design would show. The PC came up, the AutoCAD, the Revit. It actually depends on what you put into the PC that will decide how your design shows up. Now we have come to AI. So what I'll just recommend is that normally while doing a design, we go to internet and get reference images of how we want our designs to look like. So the way people usually use AI, you just type and whatever building that shows up, they're like, wow, because it looks nice. I feel the design process should still stay, in which you go and do your research, you kind of find out how your form should be, how your building should look like. Then you then input those images and reference images into the AI software, and then the design it will give you will be something actually what you were looking towards to, not basically whatever the computer generates and you walk towards it. As in terms of designs, the tool has always improved. AI is just a new tool, but we still have to understand the design process, the way it has always been. As in, the design doesn't just show up. You have to do the design processes. You have to go through the normal designs in order to generate a good design. That's what I would say.
All right, thank you very much, Okolie. I mean, we've gotten full circle on that perspective, and it's clear that it's garbage in, garbage out. Uh, it's clear that the bot too has to be fed with something. It's what we feed it in that begins to express, and that the more we feed in the kind of data we want to see, the better. And so, meaning that we should begin to feed into the system, into the cloud, um, culturally sensitive data that are to our own context, and I think that would help to begin to shape narrative. But because somebody worked with a particular style over the years, that's why today we can have the curvilinear things coming up, on mid journey. But I think that's a very good approach to see that question. Now, a second question for all of us would be: in what ways can AI help us to collaborate in design? In what ways can AI help collaboration in design? So I think this time around, let me start with Okole. You can go first this time around. In what ways can AI help us to collaborate in design?
Um, AI, I guess from the initial stages when you're just trying to build your concepts and all. So I guess as in you get a client and the client tells you they want this. So you kind of do your research. The advantage of the AI software is that you're able to feed in database, as in you can. The only difference the the reason why you need an architect is that an architect needs to go and meet the client and understand his needs. So it's now the architect that is supposed to interpret what the client wants. So with the AI software, you could either go online and get your reference images on how you want it, or you can write it in text and quickly generate images to show the client to better understand what the client wants, and that will really help the design process, because design sometimes can take a while, because sometimes you get a client that will just say, come on, I want you to wow me. Something those kind of clients are not really helpful. Like fair clients are kind of have a path to what they want. So but now with the AI, it makes it easier, in which you could just get as much detail you want from the client and put it in the AI software, and that will then help guide you in how to continue design to the different stages.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think I like that perspective. So I think let's hear from Paul this time around.
Okay. So in terms of collaboration, I would say that, like, especially in Nigeria, one of our limitations is from the design stage. I think, like, manufacturing information is a bit low in terms of, like, the exact railing, the exact door, the exact window. I'm not talking of size, I'm talking of type, I'm talking of manufacturer, I'm talking of location of manufacturer, where you're going to buy it from, where you're going to get all these particular inputs. So most of the times when we're drawing on Revit, it takes, okay, maybe until we get to the scheduling stage, or maybe until we get to when the design has been done, we now start to search for all these things. What AI can do is completely bridge that gap. AI can immediately help us, especially in Nigeria, because we don't have enough data and assets. Because, like, now you're drawing on Revit, you're using Revit's railing. You don't know the railing that's exactly in the market in Lagos or in Ibadan, or exactly where this context of a building is. AI can actually help us to become researchers to bridge that gap immediately. Who are the small manufacturers? How can we get, like, all the information about these things into this software? There's a software currently that was launched maybe in 2021. It was called Rayon. Now, what it does is that, like, it tries to search for manufacturers of chairs, if you're doing interior design, tables, curtains, all those things, into one setting, and it gives the opportunity for a communication between the designer and manufacturer. Now, in the sense that if you create an interior space, you put some chairs, you put some tables, with the way Midjourney kind of creates iterations of things, it allows you to use that same technology to say, if you have a red chair, what can a blue, yellow, whatever chair look like in the same space? And at the same time, you can send back that information to the manufacturer and be like, okay, this is what this chair you're making, the iteration it looks like on my space, and this is what I want to order from you. So there's a continuous, it's not like it's not a collaboration that is kind of static, it's continuously in loop. And I think the future is already here, but in the next 2 3 years, all these softwares you use for design will start incorporating AI in all these ways, where manufacturers, engineers, everyone is on board from the design stage, and all the loops and issues we have when we leave the design stage that we try to solve can be easily solved by constant and continuous communication at that stage, especially in Nigeria, where the information is not so much there.
Oh, fantastic. So I think for me, I can sieve out one word from that the comment, which is specification. That AI can begin to guide architects in giving trust and all that, which really it's a very challenging area for many architects. Specification, and sources of materials, sources of items for the building. So I think that's a fantastic input, Architect Paul. Thank you very much. I think let's now hear from Wale.
I think both Paul and Okuli have said
Okay.
said what I would have said. I'll just add
Yeah, I think we are losing. Okay.
Okay, sorry, a call came in that I had to pick up. Sorry, so so I just wanted to say that what I'll just add to what Okoli and Paul said is that we if you look at the era that we're going into, collaboration is like the main thing. The companies that will do well and that will stand out are the companies that can collaborate better. I recently watched a trailer. So Marvel Studios, Fortnite Studios, Pixar Studios, Avatar, and Epic Games and Unreal Engine. Now, all these are different companies that 2 3 years ago they were like, oh, this is me here, this is me here, this is this is my fan base, this is my, you understand, they are very distinct and different. But now all these 6 different companies that I just named are coming together to collaborate to create products. They're gonna be launching new movies, new games, new merchandises, new toys, new designs in the next couple of 1 year. That is massive collaboration as a result of AI. And I would say that we are still at the fresh, it's still new. Yes, AI will help us things like breaking language barriers, things. For example, if I'm working with someone in Singapore and the person doesn't speak English, AI can make that process seamless. So it's still new in terms of breaking. There's still a lot of barriers, language, specifications. What these things I call the things I in my company, what I will refer to standards, window standards, door standards, flooring standards might be different from what another person refers to as standard. So there's still a lot of barriers, and AI can help us break all those things and collaborate seamlessly. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Prof, do you have any input?
Yeah, perhaps just a little bit more stretch. The AI in terms of collaboration, I look at it from what you call integrated project delivery. It's likely to continue to narrow the gap between the design process and the building delivery process. Take for instance, all the forms you're talking about. There was a work done by Zaha Hadid at Michigan State, the museum. There's a museum she did there. That construction was a big headache. It's not ultra curvilinear, but a lot of time was spent on what they call the RFIs and change order. In here, we call variation order. I think they call it in most English settings. In America, here you say change order. So people had to ask a lot of questions. It's kind of a novelty. Twisted buildings torture their builders. So AI coming into the picture is transitioning better with 3D printing. Most of those forms could be more readily and easily generated through 3D printing rather than conventional construction. So that's where I would say is bringing collaboration among project participants together, the designers, the builders, the consultants, all together. So that's the side I look at it. Then, of course, it introduces speed, speed and efficiency. It can generate images which people can begin to discuss upon, to collaborate upon in advancement of a particular project. By that quick generation of images, it does not take away an aspect of functionality. And that's where I say the saving grace is there for designers, functionality, because these AI software put these designs together. Oftentimes, you see the way they've arranged the spaces is based on what they have learned, not necessarily what is desired or demanded, either by the client at the point in time or the architect. And that's where you can always come in, functionality. I need to, move this. This one it needs to be here. This needs to be the other place, rather than allow AI to dictate that to you. So that's, for me, if you ask me, that's the saving grace for the job, the creative job of the designer. Functionality, functionality, functionality. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Prof. I think
Thank
I like the perspective on twisted buildings. Torture their builders.
Yes.
That's an interesting one.
Mhm.
And also, I think the perspective of on speed and efficiency. I think that's the major thing that machines should do for us to amplify human creativity, really. And I think
Yeah.
that's a major area that AI is coming to play. Uh, Maybe let me say maybe like a final question for all of us, which is, do you believe we will lose, we will lose that intimate part of design now that we are looking at machine, and design is a very intimate part of the human experience. People design for individuals, for users. So do you think we will lose that intimate part of design with AI? So I think this one, let me allow Okolie to start.
Um, well, I would just say from experience, like, I mean, Abuja currently, and they kind of do a lot of estates and all. So I'm like, they do all these estates, but for each of the designs, they kind of allow each person to kind of customize each each space. So with with the way the world is, everyone is different. So there's I I code, I program. So there's actually no way you can generate a code that will suit everyone. So the human factor will always be there. Just that the AI currently is a really helpful tool to speed up the process. That's what I'll say. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I think let's hear Wale this time around, your perspective on this question.
Yeah. So will AI eliminate the intimate process of design? Let's look backwards when we used to use TD boards and pen. You have your large TD board, you put your paper on it, set it with your T square, then you bring out your toolbox, you now bring out your various pens, 0. 0.1, 0.5, 0.3, then you now start drafting. Picture that moment, there was some form of intimacy because your hands were touching the pen. You were the ink when you are drawing on the paper, the ink will stain your hands. It felt like an intimate process because you were in touch with the drawings, the drawing process of creating something. Yeah, then computers came along and people were like, no, this would create, I wouldn't be connected with my designs, blah blah blah. And in the blink of an eye, we threw TD boards away, but we found another way to be intimate with the machine, with the computers. So I think this new era has come in. We should see it as a tool, and I don't think it would eliminate the intimate process we have with design. I think it unlocks another form of expression. Yeah, so I don't think it will eliminate the intimate process. I think it's just a new opportunity. It's like opening a new door to something. So we will still have, like I said earlier in my last talk, when I said that you should also try and be authentic, be creative in your own way. Don't just be replicating things. Don't just hand over the design to AI. No, use it as a tool, hold it, carry it as a backpack, and navigate the design process. So you should be a leader. You should lead on. Don't just sit back and say, oh yeah, AI, do this. You understand? AI, do this. You should be a curator. You should be the designer. You should be the leader. in whatever design process that you're going through. I think that's what I'll say.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Wale. I think a major takeaway from your comment is the fact that designers should be authentic, even when using
Yeah,
tools. I mean, and of course, I've seen that even when we draft, when we began with CAD, you will see that certain persons have certain drafting style. That when you see certain drawings,
yeah,
you know this is a drawing by this person, and so that
yeah.
still ties a soul to that design. Yeah, and even
Mhm.
now with Revit, you always see a person's style of drafting, style of designing, dimensioning. So I think that authenticity is the key word there. Thank you very much. I'd like to know if anyone of us, maybe Architect Paul or Prof, has some comments to that question before we move ahead.
Okay. Oh, is it okay, Architect Paul? You can speak. Then I'll go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I think yes, I also agree with Dr. Wale. Just extending from what he said about the fact that AI would definitely be in the design process from now and a few years to come. I don't think that's inevitable, but it depends on how you kind of like own it per se. I think maybe I also look back at Dr. Wale's presentation when he talked about technological booms and like let's go back to like just the industrial era. So before then in Europe you design a building, you want a door. You bring an artist into your team and then you contract him to sculpt that door for, let's say, 1 year to 1.5 years. And then now manufacturing came in and you just get that door within days. So the point is that like you get a unique door, which takes time, it takes like effort and it takes like precision, but you get a fast industrialized manufactured door and then you see that door everywhere. So the thing is that like eras will change and then it now depends, okay, what do you want to do with manufacturing? How do you want to kind of design that manufacturing process to create something unique? So coming down to this current era, AI will definitely be in the process. It all depends on how do you handle it. First of all, I think people should maybe look past the image generating process and look at more other AI technology that's available. Even ChatGPT has a very powerful ability of research in terms of like breaking down briefs, in terms of like analyzing other elements of design process rather than just the kind of like the general image of itself. Research and research, rationalizing of materials, rationalizing of cost, rationalizing of climatic elements. Those are the other areas we can also engage in. And then secondly, it's looking at AI as not the final answer. How do I say this? Let's say you're using Midjourney. You type in your request and then it gives you 4 images. I believe it's not about interrogating Midjourney till you get the flashy or the best looking image. It's about interrogating Midjourney till you get the most rational image. Because the one thing that's interesting in my Midjourney is that like it when it gives you 4 images, it looks like it's expecting you to say something else about the images that's giving you, so that it interrogates it more and gives you more answers. It's a constant communication, and it's about you owning that communication to when you get it. You have to look at it as a tool. It doesn't give you the answer. You have to use it to get the answer. It gives you 4 images. You ask for 4 more by saying, okay, this thing you produced doesn't I want you to look at it in a different light continuously and continuously. Then with more research, at that point in time, you don't see this where oh you go and you get an answer or you get like a good looking building. It's just a tool. And then it becomes part of your armor, down with drawing, down with using softwares, down with modeling and creating physical models. It's just a tool to explore different arms of design. And then in the end, the answer is you. And that's how I see it.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Paul. I
Mhm.
think for me, I was able to draw a lot of lesson from your comments, your answer to that question, and has to do with the fact that AI should not be in one direction. It should be multi-directional. Use AI for research, use AI for planning, use AI for rational thinking, not just image generation, which I think that's the kind of buzz right now, you know, in the air. People are just towards generating images. But right now, looking at the different gamuts that AI can, be really for design thinking. And I think for me, that's my own takeaway: design thinking, more of design thinking than just image generation. Thank you very much, Architect Paul. Let's have Prof as we begin to wrap up.
Mhm. Oh, thank you again. So we really need to begin to think of a better way to handle AI and still maintain our identities. That needs to be interrogated. It's actually one of the biggest questions about the AI. Some people just go in, they are mere users, not contributors. They are not participating. So they give up everything else to AI. If we begin to do it the way people are looking at it, you just feeding information, it brings out forms and shapes. You wouldn't have the Frank Garys, you wouldn't have Zaha Hadid. So what you're producing now is more akin or similar to what could come from Zaha Hadid, could come from Frank Gehry, or the rest of them. So it's about how can we still maintain our individual identities, so that when a client is coming to me, is coming to me because it's coming to the architect Ilozor, that they want my touch in the process, in the design process. So the intimacy, I would say, is rather shortened. The intimacy is not far range. There's a way they describe it here in America: wham bam thanks ma'am. That's the soldiers' kind of way of doing things. They don't have intimacy, they don't have romance. So the AI is actually coming to do that, to kind of shorten the intimacy. You still need a human touch in what we're doing. And like I said, from my own perspective, being a creator of one of those bots is functionality. Take, for instance, if you ask AI to generate you this floor plan, it generates it, but you are needing, maybe in the upper level, you want this cantilever so and so distance, you want the other one to be recessed and all the rest. And that's where you need to get involved. I want this toilet that is here, I want it to the other side. I want the rooms rearranged in this way, the proportions change and all the rest of them. So that is where we will need to have a handle on control. If that is lost, I will tell you, both the intimacy and the identity of the individual designers, architects are in danger. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Prof. Well,
Thanks.
thank you very much. I think I summarize your input as identity. Designers should maintain their identity. They should put their touch to the design, which is more like a signature to the work.
Mhm.
I want to say thank you, everyone. Thank you very much for your time. It's been almost about 2 hours. We've been on the chat. Thank you. And I think for today, just to try to summarize yesterday and today. Yesterday we had Dr. Azan Oshe. We had Dr. Omakoye Obi. We had architect Shoni Barre, and we had architect David Idibe on the panel as the anchor for the panel. And today we've had Professor Ilozo Ben. We've had architect Yakubu from the UK. Professor Ben is from the US. We've had architect Akinwale Arokodare, a body back, from school. We've had Okolie, someone whose work is widely spread and admired. Well done. And I think, in all, from yesterday and today, I think in trying to just put in summary, yesterday, a major highlight was stay curious. That even in the age of AI, designers need to stay curious in understanding these tools and using these tools. And I think today, a major highlight that I could say today has been be authentic. That designers need to be authentic in their use of AI. That AI itself is not the answer. Like Architect Paul said, it's not the final answer. Rather, a tool to multiply capabilities, to multiply resources, and then scale one's thinking, scales one's creativity. And I think for me, it goes back to the definition, the proposition of AI, which is simply simulating human intelligence. So I think if there's no intelligence in the first place, there's nothing to simulate. So meaning, just anyone, an ignoramus can take AI and use it. They will never get what an architect can get. Why? Not designers. So I think, for our speakers, thank you very much. It's been a very rich plethora of sessions. We've been charged, we've been, inspired. I'm sure our community will have a lot to learn. And I've been told that there have been questions as a tutorials. Well, I'm sure in the next couple of weeks, we will get back to the community as how that can work. But I want to say thank you, everyone. Prof, thank you
So,
for your
so
time.
one more thing for us to think about, those of us in the design profession. Truly speaking, calling it artificial intelligence, it shouldn't be the way we should be looking at it. The way we should look at it as people in the profession is augmented intelligence. It's just an augmentation to our intelligence process for producing our designs with speed and efficiency. If we define it that way, practice it that way, follow it that way, we should continue to be relevant. So that's my general advice. When the creators of AI are wanting you to address it and see it as artificial intelligence, is synonymous to giving up your control to a robot or chatbot. However, if you see that as an augmented intelligence, it's just an augmentation to your intelligence process for producing your creative outputs. Thank you again.
Wow, thank you, Prof.
Good.
Well, I think I like that perspective, augmented intelligence. I think that's a very good one, and I'm sure that is where conversations are changed, narratives are improved upon as we have these
Yes.
conversations. So thank you, Prof. Just
Thank
as
you.
a round up, I don't know if anyone still has any comments. In the last word as we part. I think Prof has given his own. Dr. Paul, any last comments? Okay, all
No.
right. Thank you. Wale, any last comments?
No.
Okay. Okole, any last comments? Okay, I think Okole is frozen. Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
Okay.
okay, good.
All right. Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you, everyone. I want to say
Okay, have a nice one.
Thank
Okay,
you.
all the
Thank
best.
you.
you so much.
Okay,
Thank
take
you
care.
for the nice questions. Thank you very much.